Hello there, Libra. Thank you for stopping by for your Tarot Insights video. What we're going to be looking at today is one particular life cycle going on with you right now. We all have several life cycles going on at the same time. Many times they overlap, and we have life cycles so that we can experience or learn new things. So we'll have a setup to the life cycle, we'll have the lesson or the experience, and then we'll have the fulfillment or the end of the life cycle. Now when I talk about the fulfillment or the end of the life cycle, it's important that you realize I'm not talking about right before you kick the bucket. I'm talking about before you move on to the next life cycle for your next lesson or experience. So when I first look at the setup, everything in the setup should be, for most people, will be current tense. So you'll be able to recognize that stuff. You'll be able to say, wow, she's on, or this lady is from outer space. She knows nothing. But if it applies to you, you should recognize most of it. I would say I would expect that you'll recognize 85% or more if this actually applies to you. And then the lesson or experience is something that you may or may not be starting to experience. It'll be a little bit harder for you to verify, especially if it's not happening yet. And then as we go into the fulfillment or ultimate fulfillment or the ending of the life cycle, which is just what happens as you integrate the lesson or experience into your life, that also is something that you may or may not be experiencing yet. So that might still be in the future as well. So you'll know where you are in the life cycle as I go through here. Everybody will be in a slightly different place with that, I'm sure. But let's put your cards down and let's start looking at what we've got. Okay. The first thing that I'm going to start talking to you about is what I see about your environment. And your environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. Okay? So, what we have coming up for your environment, Libra, what's going on here? I feel like you have a lot of really nice things in your environment and you would like to share those things with other people, but somehow you're not in a position to share with other people. Maybe there's not other people that are near you that are interested in sharing what you have, or I don't think it's because you have a lack of anything. I think it's because you have a lack of maybe people around you that want to share in these things that you find to be wonderful. So I think that this in your environment is something that has you a little bit, I think you're considering, okay, well, how can I change this? How can I make it so that I can share what I have, whether it's your talents or your abilities, or whether it's your actual material goods that you have in your environment. And your environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. I might have already said that. So usually it's home, sometimes it's work, sometimes it's school. The next thing that I'm looking at is your subconscious leanings. And these are things that you think about more in the back of your mind than in the front. Every once in a while it'll become a conscious thought, but it's usually always going on the back burner. And what I'm seeing for subconscious leanings, it seems like you guys have been going through some kind of trying times lately where you're kind of waiting for things to quit being so rocky. And your subconscious is working out, how do I juggle everything and make everything work and have it all come together and be in a balanced way, so where you can feel balanced in your life, is what I'm picking up there. All right, next card, Libra, talks to me about your learning style and also your communication style. Learning style. Well, you're naturally curious and generally very, very intelligent. So I feel like your learning style, you are picking up stuff just quicker than a sponge. Because you're curious, it's easy for you to learn things because you're always asking questions and trying to understand things. And so you just kind of learn naturally. It's just kind of like breathing to you. So I feel like you're picking up and learning things all over the place about anything new that really you come into contact with. And there's a lot of learning. There's a lot of new things that you're understanding and comprehending during this life cycle, definitely. Now, as far as communication, you maybe could be a little bit better at communication. I'm feeling like some of your words could be really sharp, and you could be, It seems like when you want something, you're so determined about what it is that you want that you sort of forget to take into consideration things that the people around you or the things that the people that affect that decision might want as well. You're just very single-minded about this. And communication might go a lot smoother for you if you were able to look at situations from the person you're communicating with perspective, so you can kind of get an idea where they're coming from before you just like charge into the conversation saying exactly what's on your mind and how you want things done. Okay, so communication could be improved. It's a little rocky. You're trying to come in and basically take over the communication in this life cycle, and it's not getting you very far. All right, so la da 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 da. The next thing that I'm looking at has to do with your work, and work for me comes in two ways. It comes in as that way that we make a living, but it also comes in the way that we work on our inner selves, our character, our personality. And this is, when I think of work, this is something that we do for ourselves, not because somebody else wants us to. It's what we want to do to make ourselves better. Okay, so outer work. For some of you, I think there's a lot of for all of you, I think there's a lot of communication going on. For some of you, I'm feeling like you are trying to test the waters about finding out about maybe a new position within the company. Some of you may be testing the waters about getting a new position that's in a completely different place. Some of you may be testing the waters about the idea of you starting your own thing. But there's definitely the whole idea of that there's a lot of communication going on, and some of that communication, one part of that communication, has to do with you testing the waters about how you can expand in one way or another, whether it's with your own thing or how you can expand in the company you're with, or how you can expand in a completely new company. Okay, so inner work here. Inner work, inner work, inner work. I feel like on the inside, you're really getting to know yourself in a deeper level than you have gotten to know yourself before. You're really understanding what you're good at, what your strong points are. You're really understanding the potential of you and the potential of the impact that you can have on the world just by being yourself and really highlighting the things that you're good at. Whether it's emotional or whether they're physical things, doesn't really matter, but highlighting those things that you're good at and using those more so that you can impact the world in a more positive way. So really getting to know yourself more and getting to know how you can impact the world by being yourself. Okay, so the next card that we have talks to me about that part of your personality that's being grown or expanded right now. To me, this comes up as you're feeling pretty protective, and you're learning how to protect your own dreams and to protect your own innermost thoughts and workings. You're not sharing things with people as much as you used to. So really learning how to keep things under wraps. And I don't feel like there's anything like, just keeping secrets to be deceptive or anything like that. This feels to me like there are some secrets that are treasure that you just don't share with the world. And those are ones that you are sort of keeping hidden away, at least from most people. And that's where you're really growing right now. This is for most of you, it's a whole new phase. For a few of you, we're expanding this. But for most of you, this is kind of a whole new thing to feel like maybe it's better to not talk about something. All right, so then the next card that we have coming up talks to me about things that you stand up for. What do we have here? So it looks to me like there's someone in your life or in your sphere of influence who has been passing along good information to yourself, but also to other people as well. And it looks to me like you appreciate the fact that this person is sharing this information with you, where these other people are not so appreciative of that. And so I feel like you're kind of standing up for this person who is sharing the information and saying, hey, why are you acting like this? I mean, I really want to say she, so for most of you it's probably going to be a she, but for some of you, I imagine it'll be a he, a minority. But you really want to say, she doesn't have to give this information. She doesn't have to do these things that she does. She doesn't have to share all this information with us. Why are you acting so crazy about it? Why is this something that you're talking bad about? I think that's pretty much, or maybe you're just telling people, don't talk bad about it. Step off the curb, Jack. Step off the curb, Jack is like my favorite saying to say. It just makes me feel free to think about saying to someone, step off the curb, Jack. Leave me alone. All right, let's look at your next card. This talks to me about how other people perceive you. Generally, this is how the person that how the person that you're standing up to actually perceives you. So, are they seeing you? What is this saying? Excuse the yawn. They're seeing you as somebody who is giving and very generous, and generous to the point that possibly even you hurt yourself because you're generous to everyone. You don't require people to look a certain way or act a certain way or be a certain way. If somebody needs help, you just want to help them. And so they see you as having that kind of generosity. Let's see here. Next, okay, so that's all the setup. So this is all stuff that you should recognize in your life right now, for most of you. I've only had one person that I did this spread on and they didn't recognize it. And then they called me back 2 days later and said, everything that you talked about happened starting right about the time I left out your door. I think you said 20 minutes after I left out my door. But most of the time, people recognize everything that's in the setup, so you should recognize all of that. Now we're going to talk about the lesson or experience. You might already be in this, or it may be something coming in the future, so you'll know if you recognize it or not. What we have for lesson or experience for you, Libra, definitely looking for the truth. I do feel like there is some information that is coming to you that is truthful. I think you're just relieved to have the truth at this point. You're happy to have the truth. I think that whatever this information is that's come to you has been, I'm hearing, elusive up until now. And so to have this information, even though it may not be exactly what you were hoping for, it gives you a chance to really handle things in a way that's appropriate. Where if you did not have this information, this truth, then what you would be doing really would not be appropriate to the situation. So definitely some truth coming in. I do think it's going to be adjusting. It's going to cause you to adjust how you are in a particular relationship or in a particular situation, one of the two. Now, next we're looking at the completion of the life cycle, which is what happens as you integrate the lesson or experience. We've got a couple of things coming up. The first thing is you're really learning to follow your own instinct, follow your own inner guidance system. So that's the first thing that comes up, and you're really learning that there's a lot of validity to that, and you're seeing and experiencing that validity. At the same time, I think that you may be experiencing some time where you're not working. For some of you, maybe you're going on vacation, but I am seeing some time where you won't be working. And so, getting balance, following that intuition, not working. To me, this looks like this could be vacation time. This could be rejuvenation. This could be, just taking some downtime to sort of get your thoughts together and get yourself together. And then ultimately what we have coming up in this life cycle is there's something going on that is stressful. And to me, I feel like this has to do with some of the information that you found out that is causing you some kind of stress. So even as you're taking vacation and as you're revitalizing, There's also this issue that needs to be dealt with too as you're doing that, that's causing you the stress. You need to find some kind of way to work in some healing into that situation so that whatever it is that's stressing you out, and I do feel like it has to do with the same thing that sort of has you being quiet about your innermost thoughts. Whatever has made you decide that you need to do that is tied in with where this stress comes from. So you want to really do what you can to alleviate some of that, because we were not designed to walk around under stress all the time. And so there you go, Libra. That's the end of that life cycle. And then the end of this life cycle will be like the beginning of the next life cycle, and then beginning of the next setup. So that's where we leave you today. I hope that you find this absolutely helpful. And I will be talking to you all on the next video. Peace out.